Why do the most stable, independent men have to make the most hard choices? There is no secret about it. Sigma men, the silent, confident nonconformists, do what few others can see. They seek independence more than approval, truth more than ease, but these same characteristics lead them to places most of us would never go. These aren't ordinary decisions. They're times that challenge a Sigma male's values, times when every move is a loss of something precious. Betrayal, revenge, death, and confession. What a Sigma will select is a sign of who he is. So today we take a look at 6 hard choices every Sigma male makes. Choices that will impact his story and his legacy. 1. To let go or break off connections once and for all. The weak can never forgive, Mahatma Gandhi once uttered. Forgiveness is the quality of the strong. Let's say you lose a friend who you thought had nothing to hide. Would you let them go and rekindle the relationship with the risk that they will try to get you again? Or would you disperse forever and not return to that which you loved? Betrayal hits differently for Sigma men. They're not trusting people very often, and when they are, it's gotta go. They're betrayed. And not just by a promise, they're betrayed by a belief in human relationship. According to the psychologist Dr. Robert N. Wright, forgiveness means losing resentment for those who have done us wrong. Forgiveness may make things better, but for the Sigma male, it could also be a power shift in favor of the liar. Cutting ties, meanwhile, provides closure but with loss. But here's the rub. Neither choice is easy. To forgive takes weakness. To walk away, you have to be willing to be alone. What he decides determines not just his connections, but his understanding of loyalty and trust in the future. This is an even harder choice when the cheating is family or close friends. We live in a world where they sell you the myth that blood is more powerful than water, that you must never lose old friends. But the Sigma must weigh up these expectations from society with his conscience and mental security. The problem isn't in deciding, it's how to go about it. Choose forgiveness, and you have to reestablish trust, for it can break again. Pick up the knife, and be sure to resist when he/she attempts to move back into your life, or when close friends force a severance, or nostalgia encourages you to pull the plug. In the case of a Sigma male, this comes down to the following question. Which option preserves not only his tranquility, but his honor? Because sometimes the toughest thing is not to give or walk away, but to stick with whatever you do. To embrace more privilege or be more criticized. The less they know, the more they make up, the writer Robert Greene cautions. This fact is ever-present pressure for Sigma men. Do they need to reveal more about themselves so no one can guess? Or do they remain hidden and let others fill in the rest of the gaps with their guesses? Society is strange with the unobtrusive. When you don't share publicly, everyone begins to invent their own version of you. You get tarred as arrogant for being a shy type. Your privacy becomes suspicious. Your autonomy is a harbinger to non-believers. The pressure to confess comes from all quarters. Post more on social media, tell about your life at work, tell everyone what you decided to do. The world needs your thoughts, emotions, and preferences all the time. You've heard it, that little scolding when you don't say anything to anyone. And those peeps about being enigmatic or illegible. The thoughts that you are scotching because you don't divulge everything. Even your best friends don't always think you are trustless when they mistake your privacy. This might be fixed if you're willing to share more details, tell more stories, explain more, share with people how you make decisions. It might stop the rumors, temper the judgment, and put others at ease. But at what expense to your own stillness? And because you know what other people don't know, your privacy isn't about them. It's about having the space to think clearly, digest truthfully, and be fully you. It's to save your quadrats in a world that needs bits and pieces all the time. As a Sigma male, it is a matter of principle. Do you sell out your need for privacy for the sake of pleasing other people, or do you pay the price of not being yourself? But it isn't always about the choice that is hard, but accepting what comes with the price, whatever it is. 3. Don't play by the rules, or don't play by the rules for the good. Does law direct, not tie, said the philosopher Marcus Aurelius. This struggle between order and growth is at the heart of every Sigma male's thought. Others just go along with the flow because they know what they're doing or are afraid of, but Sigma men are savvy enough to see them for what they are. human instruments for a different time, in a different context. Rule of thumb goes, rules are written in blood. They are there because someone somewhere paid a price for not having them. And when the same norms turn out to be the roadblocks to progress, to justice, to change, that is where Sigma men get a special role. Their rational brains grasp the big picture, that some laws exist simply to preserve obsolete processes, to enforce unnecessary hierarchies, or to block transformational innovation. Their autonomy lets them think twice about what others assume is okay. Just because it's the law doesn't mean it's the law. And society has rules, both implied and actual. Don't upset the ship, don't get out of your lane, don't stray from the script. Those ostensibly black box rules mold most people's existence from birth to death. But Sigma males have what psychologists refer to as ethical autonomy, the freedom to evaluate moral decisions under their own volition. And it's not about being a mean person, but when breaking the law is for the greater good, then doing it. Whether you're bucking oppressive policy, intervening for someone when bureaucratic means don't seem to be working, or forging new routes where others have already broken, the art is in the decipherment, knowing which laws lay the seeds of civilization and which are walls of fear or convention. Because sometimes the best moral decision isn't in the book, but it's the one that's good for truth, justice, or progress, even if it takes a deviation from the rule book. 4. Seek to repay or get unnecessary forgiveness. Some say that revenge tastes better cold. But the question for a Sigma male is not whether to serve it or not. And when someone tramples you, purposefully, calculatingly, do you lash out in the same volley or transcend, grant them forgiveness they didn't deserve and might not even want? The old master Confucius counseled, before you set out on revenge, make 2 tombs. But the human spirit longs for fairness that demands sanity. Sigma men have the mental skills to think up the best revenge possible, so this one is even trickier. Rache follows the path of least resistance, the opportunity to impart an eternal lesson, to make the other person suffer like them. Not mad rages and rapid response. The punishment of a Sigma would be calculated, specific, and catastrophic in its delivery. But here's the kicker. By choosing to be revenge, you commit your time, energy, and mind to the person who made you feel bad. It is to carry their betrayal longer, allow it to guide you, and become a chapter in theirs rather than your own. Undeserved forgiveness, by contrast, is not naivety or a passing of the torch. That's calculated. It's for you, not them, to be peacemaker. It's knowing that sometimes the only revenge is not playing. And the trickiest thing about that is that neither option is free. Pick revenge and you could slay the other guy and make him hate you. Forgive and you could save yourself some peace, but teach someone something. It's usually a question of which option allows you to continue where you've been without stopping. To a Sigma, this is often a simple choice. Which option permits you to continue walking the path? Because sometimes what wins isn't always having people pay, but having the same response to them. 5. Give up everything for a dream or go comfortable. Every Sigma has encountered that split second where his aspiration borders on the one hand and his cocoon on the other. It's the litmus test. Are you laying all your eggs on the line for something that won't ever work out? Now suppose you have a regular job, a routine, and an average person would envy you. But inside, there's a raging dream. Maybe you're going to start your own company, or travel to a different country, or go do something everybody else thinks crazy. The safety you have constructed runs counter to the best you could be. It's a decision for Sigma males that is much more than about choosing between the pros and cons. They are independent and logical, which gives them some things other people won't see. But with that same autonomy comes the burden of walking the rocky road on their own, with no guarantee of anyone being there for them. The familiar option gurgles promises, security of income, status, straight ahead. It's the highway you drive down, the one your family and friends know. But that dream is all dreams are made of living your life your way, of making it your own. It's a messy, dangerous, and lonely road, but the only one you can follow for what is most important to you. This is why this choice is so difficult. For these men, comfort is a false security. And they realize that being safe is also a gamble. A gamble in the form of regret, of saying what if, of retrospectively recognizing that you took the risk of fear over self-confidence. The worst part is, this is not a one-time decision. That dream will keep calling, year after year. And every time the Sigma male has to choose between who he is and who he might be. 6. Be outed by a covert boss or stay shy. You enter that office each day, and your dignity is being taken from you one by one. Your boss is not only a controlling figure, he's a master pawn who's transformed your dream position into a psychological bogeyman. Paid overtime in the name of collaboration, taking credit for what you do, mocking you in public, emergency demands that derail your private plans, and then threats of sacking you if you don't. For the Sigma male, this isn't even bad management. It's seeing your self-esteem suffer each day. Your boss knows you're good enough and you're dangerous, so he uses you to make you look stupid, blindside you, and ask you how well you really are. The traces are there, the criminal practices, the incriminating memo, the charted cycle of intimidation. A simple email to HR or tip off to the right people, and the house could collapse on you. And here's the bad news. Whistleblowers get blacklisted. They are derailment, and the system does not care for its own. Even when there is proof, it's a case of your word against someone with more connections, more power, and more money to do anything to screw you over. And to stay silent is to sit by while your manager continues to co-opt others when you could have acted on it. It means sucking your pride every day, playing the game with a plan of escape. This means carrying the cost of compromise for a Sigma male. That choice cuts right to the heart of his faith. Does saving your career pay for the loss of your morals? How can you go on with the knowledge that you went for safety rather than truth? And you can't change your mind if you don't. And the reality is that there's sometimes no pristine fix, only the option of scars of different types.